Welcome back to Used to Sew, a podcast about vintage sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host, Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is here today to talk to you about the progression of Singer rotaries through the golden age of sewing machines, starting with the transverse shuttle and ending at the slantomatics. This episode's purpose is to revisit machines that we have dedicated episodes to before, but this time to connect them through one very specific mechanical story. We discuss myths and truths about rotary types, drill deep into what a bobbin's actual job is, and then put it all together to understand how the Singer 101 became the 201, and beyond. We also spend a bit of time being excited about our current sewing project, because who wouldn't be excited to actually be using a Davis for home decor?
I don't want to start veering off into exciting things before we hit record.
All right. Recording is on. Rolling of tape has engaged.
Tape. Oh, you're so funny. You're the child of a Gen Xer for sure.
Hey, man, I still had to use magnetic tape. I did books on tape.
That's true. You did.
I did actually handle that as my own self. I am a geriatric millennial.
Yes, one of the old millennials. Yes,
I'm actually not. I'm solidly in the middle of millennial. I'm not an old millennial.
Yeah, but you guys are a millennial couple that's getting back into vinyl. So what's that?
That is hip and cool and
sort of like vintage sewing machines, am I right?
Yeah. Nice segue.
Mid-century madness here. Well, it is a beautiful, cloudy day here on the western edge of Oregon, where we are still graciously not on fire. Again, big shout out to everybody who's on fire. Run. Really, pack your shit and get out of there. Friends have had close calls. I've got some friends up in Canada who are park hosts, and they got the call in the middle of the night, you need to evacuate all of your campers.
Oh, my.
How is that? You're a park host, you're 75 years old, and you just, all of a sudden you've got to go around knock on all, hey, sorry, but you got to leave. We're on fire.
Man, the sides of park hosting you don't think about when you imagine what a relaxing dream job it would be.
Right, like your brother's doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm. It's exactly what I'm thinking is like, ooh, I like the idea of camping. I don't know if I like the idea of being responsible for rousting, 30 campers or whatever and making sure that they leave in the middle of the freaking night and then get your own self out. Ooh.
Oh, well, here's the deal. They had to get the campers out. That's like your thing, because when you're a camp host working for the province, you're like an employee of the province, right? So get the people out. This is in the Okanagan Valley, which is a very deep valley with a lake in it. There's one road that runs up the side. That's the side that's on fire. So they're trying to get all these people out on this simple 2-lane road. And this is not the only campground on that road. So there's a big old line of folks. Meanwhile, my friends are hosting. They're saying, you guys got to get out of here too. And now there's no time to take your camper.
Oof.
I can just hear my friend Donna going, my sewing machine.
Right. That and everything else. Oh, man.
She grabbed the dog and go. But by the time they actually were going, then the firefighters had gotten an upper hand on it for a minute. And they said, okay, you can get your trailer and you can stay. And then an hour later, well, hook up and get out of here. So it was a back and forth and back and forth, but oh my God, how do you decide what to take? Like we talked about, in Europe. So, but she thought, I'm taking my dog and I don't think I can get my sewing machine in time. She's alter-abled and just gathering everything up. And
Yeah. So did their campground end up burning?
I don't know that it actually did. They were evacuated to another campground and the whole thing's closed off. So I haven't gotten any updates from them. I think they said they're really tired and happy to be where it's not on fire.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's scary.
So yeah, when you're going camping, check out your campground and look for alternate ways out. If you're this was a super fire-prone area. It's the interior of BC, which is hot and dry. It's like Eastern Oregon, only not so high up. I mean, they grow peaches up there. You wouldn't think peaches and pears and stuff in British Columbia, but the interior it's in the rain shadow, of the Cascade Ridge there.
Sure, right. Yeah.
Anyway, blessings to those who are. Yeah, this is when it's a good time to have featherweight. You know, there's a little one hand, tuck it under your arm, put your dog in the other arm. But tell us what you were working on this week, Aradia. I was there. I saw it. I went, ooh, ah.
We were working on the curtain project. We used the Davis to sandwich together and stitch in a perfect straight, non-skewed way the layers of blackout lining and cool paisley cotton facing, as well as a weird layer of yellow canvas that we're using to stabilize where the rings at the top are going to go. All of that was eaten for breakfast by Dave, as per usual. It was very gratifying to be, it's an extra something to make something with treadle. It's all handmade. Using wall power is perfectly fine and acceptable and very custom, but there's a little extra zhuzh to saying I am building this for my spouse with my literal body. I am literally making this. I am putting the thing together with power out of my own muscles, and it's going to hang on his wall and protect him from the environment and give him cool things to look at forever and ever. It's just really gratifying. And
yes,
it was very neat and tidy. We almost had enough thread. We played bobbin chicken and we lost right at the end. Right at the end, I had to wind up another bobbin. But, it's all purple and swirly and paisley. So once it's all on the wall, the slight change in color of thread at the bottom of one is not going to matter. I have been informed that we are not allowed to put the hardware in the wall. He will be doing that himself.
Okay, cool. That's excellent.
Because he has the eye for the squareness that he needs to have his brain balance in the workspace. So I'm like, okay, we will simply build the curtains and you may install it if that is what you want.
Oh, I love that. I love that because that is my least favorite part of home deck is dealing with the hardware. It's like...
Yeah, I said we were going to hang it up and he's like, I'm going to stop you right there. No, you are not. Like, okay. Totally
baby.
Legit. It's your office. If that's what you want, then I will provide you with a neatly prepared set of curtains. You can hang them.
Well, here's the deal, folks. We knew this window, it's a split curtain with blackout lining because it's a south-facing window. And he wants to be able to open it with a center seam and whoosh it off to the side and it clears the glass. So we measured how long the rod needed to be. It's definitely going to need a center support because the window is 4 feet wide, 5 feet tall. I wanted the thing to clear by at least. So it's like I want an 8-foot rod just to give us extra thing. So
and you found it at a thrift store.
Yes, for $2.99 plus my senior discount. We went to the home improvement store and looked at the exact same thing. It's got nice heavy brass ends on it. It's the same curtain, $45.
Goodness.
We did have to buy brand new brackets because I couldn't find any brackets that would work. But even then, we're talking less for all of the hardware than, it's just a beautiful thing. Randy says, I don't know if you can find a curtain rod in a thrift store. I said, that's because you don't ever go back into the houseware section, dear. You're always over looking at power tools and stereos and stuff. You want an ironing board for $3? I know where all the good stuff is. So that was cool. Now he's okay, here's the deal. We make a deal with him. You have 1 week to hang it up. And if you don't, we're going to.
That will motivate him.
And we inherited the rings from dear departed Sharon, my mom, your grandma. When we cleaned out her RV before it went away, we took the curtains that I had made, which had these really cool heavy-duty rings on. These are just what we wanted for this, since he wants to whoosh them open and they want to make a cool shing sound on the rod. So, of course, I took one of those with me when I was shopping for the rod, right? You don't want that's not going to fit. So that was another just great thrifty textile home deck story. You did buy the fabric new, but it was from an Etsy shop.
And I bought the lining new because, blackout lining material is not really a thing you're going to find in a thrifty context. Certainly not on command.
You could, and this is how. You could buy drapes and cut out the existing black outlining if it hadn't been wrecked.
If you had, yeah, sure, if you found that.
It's usually in commercial draperies, it's a free hanging interior lining, not a sandwiched piece like we did. Because those are like drapes. But that's, you could find that material in a thrift store, but not, you would have to harvest it from an existing thing.
Sure, yeah. So this is mostly a new construction, but we did salvage the rings, and the rings will always make us think of Grandma.
Always.
And we did thrift the rod. And yeah, we sewed it with manual power.
And you sewed it with Dave.
I sewed it with Dave.
We're reminding you folks about our family of sewing machines here in case you don't know them all yet. Dave is the Davis vertical feed, and it's the old one with the really long needle. And it's if you don't know what a needle feed machine is, it's the top is walking. There is no feed dog. So when you're sewing dissimilar materials like this canvas, cotton, and black outlining, those are very dissimilar. And trying to sew those on a standard machine without a walking foot, which would do kind of an okay job. If you tried to sew it with just your straight stitch foot, you'd get these diagonal creases that just start growing the longer you get. With the walking needle, with the needle feed, with the Davis, each stitch the needle goes down, and the needle actually itself, with the helper foot on top, pull the fabric. There's no way those layers can come apart. They're pinned together with every stitch. Now, if you want a quiet, graceful sewing machine, Dave's not it.
No, he has a nice chugga like a locomotive.
He does sound like a locomotive. Oh, my God.
I love the sound. It's so bassy, and you can't ignore him.
No,
He's very in your face.
Let's put a link to our Davis video in the show notes here, because we did a great video on how to get to know your Davis vertical feed, and that's our video with the most views, and lots of people are going, "Oh my God, thank you. I didn't know what I was doing." Well, we didn't either, but that's what we do here. So we do stupid stuff so you don't have to.
Or so you can do your own stupid things, building on our stupidity, Stand on the shoulder of fools.
Well, and that segues right into the sewing machine industry of the 1860s and 70s.
Perfect.
Today, we are going to talk about rotaries, the rotary hook mechanism. But first, we have to look a little bit before that. And why did we want a rotary? Like, what is a hook? How did it evolve? And when it got to rotary, what happened next? So, without belaboring the whole, you can see one of our early episodes about the vibrator, the oscillator, and the full rotary. And that was a really in-depth exploration of how each of those mechanisms forms a lock stitch. We're just talking about lock stitch here, not chain stitch or any other kind of stitch. This is a lock stitch. Okay, so the first lock stitch machines made their stitch with a transverse shuttle. As you're sitting at the machine, the transverse shuttle is usually behind the needle, and it goes from left to right on a little track. It doesn't do any arc movement. It's back and forth. And it shoots through the loop that the needle puts down. Okay, that part's the same. That's pretty much what was happening up until, I'm hoping that I'm right on this. Singer invented the vibrating shuttle that moves in an arc, which were the VS machines. I have the VS2 or VS3. What is that thing? Yeah, I have the VS3, which turned into the 27 and the 127 and the 28. And that's what everybody was making, long shuttle machines. That was the way it worked. Those are the ones that the shuttle looks like either a boat for the transverse ones or a bullet for the ones in an arc, the vibrating shuttle. The bobbins are those long, skinny ones. They're not little fat round ones like we're used to seeing on our modern machines. Those machines are fairly easy to build, forgiving. They don't need a lot of real super precise machining except for making the needle itself, of course. But it's a good farm machine. When the power source at this time is you. You're either turning it with your hand or you're treadling. So there's a limit as to how fast a human can pedal a sewing machine, especially a housewife who's wearing 10 pounds of petticoats.
Sure. Strong legs, though.
Yeah. Therefore, the long shuttle, it's perfectly fine. And they, while this is the technology, manufacturers are working on every possible refinement to this system, but nobody's invented anything new yet. Okay, long about 1895, Singer invents the 15 series, which is a round bobbin machine. Oh my God. The bobbin case is not a bullet. It's a little round thing with a spindle. And you put the bobbin in that and you click it in underneath the machine. And now, instead of the bobbin moving through the loop, the whole bobbin and everything, it has to loop around there. So has to be some play for it to get around there. Now the bobbin is holding still. It's not moving. It's just sitting there inside of its little case. And the hook is spinning around that, picking up the needle thread. So it's a whole different way of putting the lower thread through the upper thread. We're still making a lock stitch, but now we can go faster. It's much smoother and quieter. It's just a whole new design. And people are like, oh, whoa. So that was Singer. That was their deal. And that was the 15 class. We've talked about the 15 because it's like the mother of clones. It's the mother of, it was like the standard Chevy Chevette of sewing machines. I'm trying to say the Dodge Slant 6 motor. It's perfect. You can't do anything different with it.
We still use class 15 bobbins.
We do.
That's still, you don't improve on that. That is a perfect wheel. There's different bobbin cases, but that is more or less the bobbin that we know and love now.
That shuttle mechanism, that oscillating 15 shuttle, it's still, everything else on the machine has changed, but that movement. I just want to read a thing now here from quiltingroomwithmel.com. Mel has great information on this side. I think we've looked at it before, but rotary hook versus oscillating hook sewing machines. Mel would like to start by explaining the differences between the rotary hook and the oscillating hook. To do this, we must first understand what's the purpose of a hook. What is it? What does it do? The term hook in a sewing machine refers to the ring with a pointed finger that surrounds the bobbin case. That part that spins. Okay. The needle carries the top thread down through the material while the hook is revolving around the bobbin. When the needle reaches the bottom of its downward travel and starts upward, a small loop is formed in the top thread right behind the needle. This loop is carried up with the needle. The hook revolutions are timed so that the point of the finger goes through the loop, catching the thread and pulling it down as the needle continues up. This process is identical regardless if it is a rotary system or an oscillating system. But within the next quarter of a revolution, the difference becomes obvious. Our needle is still traveling upwards as our hook passes the 3 o'clock position on a clockwise revolving hook, and 9 o'clock if counterclockwise. The easiest way to identify clockwise or counterclockwise is to look at the point of the hook. The point leads the hook. If it points right and turns right, it's clockwise. If it points left, counterclockwise. Then there's a video link. Okay. If we are using a rotary hook system, then the hook continues to travel in one direction. It carries a top thread all the way around the bobbin case, wrapping the thread loop over around the bobbin thread, then release the loop on the opposite side of the bobbin, forming a stitch, The needle comes down and the take-up lever on the head of the machine positions itself to lift the top thread up and tighten the stitch by pulling the slack of the loop up against the take-up spring and the tension discs. That's a lot of stuff. And you know what? That happens like 1,000 times a minute.
It's incredible. Like, even just trying to look at it visually, it's just like there's too many things possibly happening at once for this to work. There's no way that this works. It feels like a miracle. It's like watching a freaking rocket ship. It's like there's no way. There's no way.
How can that work? Okay, yeah. So let's 1,000 stitches a minute's pretty fast, but I have several machines that will do that, and they're home machines. Okay, oscillating. Now, if we are using an oscillating hook system, then the physics of the stitch formation stays the same, but how the top thread is carried and released is what differs. An oscillating hook picks up the top thread exactly like a rotary hook, but instead of carrying the loop completely around the bobbin, it only carries it far enough past center for the pressure of the needle pulling the thread up to pull the loop off the point of the hook. The loop still travels across the face of the bobbin and wraps the bobbin thread the same way as it does in a rotary system. Take-up lever serves the same function. The actual motion of an oscillating system stops as the loop is released and reverses direction or travel. The needle does not stop or change direction. It continues to perform its duties. So when you look at the oscillating hook, you're looking at it in your machine, and it's going back and forth and back. I always put my hand inside of a C shape and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in my wrist. If I could model rotary that way, my hand would fall off. Your hand would twist right off.
Oh, yeah, that would be bad. That would be not how things work.
Right. So the jar opening motion, go halfway, and then go back. That's a rotary hook. Ding, ding, ding. Rotary just goes around. It spins. Okay, so anytime you have to stop and change direction, you lose energy and you introduce noise, right?
Right. It's friction. It's wear and tear. It's the chance for error. It's not ideal.
Okay, now we have some myths about rotary versus oscillating. Again, quilting room with Mel. This is great. Myth: oscillating hook systems make weaker seams. First misconception I would like to put to rest is baffling me as how it ever became folklore. No one remembers how these things get started. No information to back up the myths. But the myths are now factual because they've been repeated so long that they must be true, right?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me that would even be a thing. Because, like, they're making the same stitch. They're two different ways of achieving the same end. That's kind of the point.
It says here, rotary hook machines make exactly the same lock stitches as an oscillating hook machine. It is impossible to look at the two rows of stitches and tell the difference. They're identical.
Exactly. Obviously. Like, okay.
Okay, so that was myth. Now here's truth. Rotary hook systems are faster. Yes, rotary hook machines operate with less vibration than oscillators. They tend to be slightly quieter. They are typically the chosen system for high-speed machines. All three of these facts are true due to the forces at play, as the oscillating hook must stop and reverse directions twice during a stitch, and a rotary hook never changes direction. The vibration, speed, and noise caused by this are all directly related to the start-stop motion of the hook. We know that. That's just physics and engineering right there.
Right. That's intuitively obvious, I would hope.
So then it leads to myth. Rotary hooks are then better. Now you may be thinking this is true, but we will shed some light on a few different facts. Oscillating hook machines are simpler to manufacture, require fewer parts. That means they can be produced at a higher rate, resulting in more machines per hour, helping cut costs per machine. The hook action is driven by offset cams and linkage between shafts. They don't have to use an internal belt or chain to keep the hook timing in sync with the needle timing. There are fewer rotating parts to wear, so they tend to require less maintenance. Also, they are much more forgiving when it comes to timing issues. So now it looks like oscillating hook may be a better design? ? Now, just my own self inserting this here, you can see even more so for the long shuttle machines. All those things. Even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Both noisier and more time consuming to create and manipulate. And yeah, all of that for sure.
The more refined we get, okay, so, but the basic principle is the same. Okay, while we give ourselves a break to digest this information, you can hear me stumbling. Bobbin orientation has no bearing on the hook system used in the machine. So you can have top drop-ins that are 66, and you can have 15s that go underneath. And both of those could either be rotaries or oscillators. Does that make sense? Actually, I don't think class 15s can ever be rotaries. 66s can be rotaries. I'm confused. Okay, continuing on.
Quantum, man.
Quantum. Rotary hook machines can be picky. The last thing I would like to share, and this is Mel again, is partially my own experience in research. Rotary systems seem to be finicky when it comes to thread size. I've talked about this myself. If a machine is set up for heavier thread, it will perform just fine, but if the thread size is changed, then it may start skipping stitches, talking about readjusting timing and needle height. So Mel went and played with different types of machines with thread and needles, and all of her rotaries seem to be prone to acting this way. Tried the same test in several different oscillating hook machines. They were not nearly as finicky about changing thread sizes or types. Conclusion, which is better, rotary hook or oscillating hook? Well, what does this all mean? There is no single solution. Hey, this sewing machines, right? There is no one great best sewing machine. So this is like for all you people that are like adamant that the 201 was the best sewing machine ever made. Damn it. It's a rotary, by the way. Okay. Mel says, if you need a fast machine above 1,200 stitches per minute, or if you want quieter and smoother machine that doesn't constantly need to change thread sizes and types, so if you're not changing your thread all the time and you want it to be fast, get a rotary. Keep in mind, they require more maintenance as a type than oscillating machines. By more maintenance, I do not intend to imply they're problematic. They're not, but the rotary will need more attention and tune-ups. It's like a British motor car. It's got a little bit finer there. So, does it matter? Well, does it matter? It's either one has its points, and I've said this before. One of the reasons I do not particularly care for the featherweight, it's a rotary. It's its own class 221, but it goes in a little bobbin case, just like a 15. But the tolerances are so tight, that machine is chronically prone to thread jams. If you forget to hold your thread, if something goes wacky, and you got to take the hook apart to get the thread out. It's like, okay, featherweight, I'm not... Okay, it's one of the things that it's known for, and featherweight fanatics will say, but there's a little tool you can get to break the thread jam. Well, it made a thread jam.
Right. It's a chronic problem. Everyone knows it.
My VS3 long shuttle rattly old hand crank, I never have to hold the threads to start a stitch. It can't bird nest. There's absolutely no way. This is the mechanics of a long shuttle, people. If you get frustrated with bird nesting thing, long shuttles, just that whole jamming up the bobbin thing, it doesn't happen. So you can just start and stop on a million little things without, hold your thread, backstitch, da-da-da. Anyway, so there's no one best sewing machine. Well, but if you listen to the advertisements from the time, so we went from the transverse shuttle to the vibrating shuttle to the round bobbin oscillator. Two different kinds there. We've got the 15 and the 66. 15 came out in 1895. The 66 family, which is the top drop-in bobbin. That's the first thing that Singer patented that. Whoa, top drop-in. This is an improvement. But dang it, we still don't have a rotary. We have this cool top drop-in bobbin. Nobody else has that. It's super easy. There's no bobbin case to lose, easy to thread. But we don't have a rotary. And everybody wants a rotary because it's a rotary. It's faster. Cool. It's quieter. They're cool. And all the ads are touting, this is it. So what did Singer do? It bought Wheeler and Wilson. It stole the D9 because it was a rotary. They took the plans for that because now those guys are done. Bought the whole company. We talked about this in the episode on Wheeler and Wilson. Singer took that rotary engineering. They have all the patents. They own it now. Oh, right on. They finished making the last D9s, and they Singerized them, put badges on them. But then they made the Model 115, which we've also talked about. Has the number 15, is not a 15.
Sure, right.
And it looks like one from the top, though. The same tension. I mean, only when you look underneath do you go, wait a minute. The hook's going in a circle. It's not oscillating. So, Singer has itself a rotary now. Well, but they didn't invent it, and we're moving right along now. So that was 1912. Now more and more people are getting electricity.
Right.
Singer's like, I got it. We can do all the prestige of a rotary, all the engineering, all the things everybody's been touting about why rotaries are so great, and we can put electricity in it. Not just stick a little motor on there with a belt. No, put electricity in it. It's going to be new, improved, quiet, fast, and electric. We're going to call it the Model 101. It's 1920. The Singer Model 101 sewing machine is one of the most important machines in Singer's history, marking the transition from belt-driven designs to fully integrated electric machines. This is from the website tallysew.com, one of my favorites. No ads, lots of pictures and information. The Model 101 is a fascinating sewing machine that often gets overlooked in favor of later models like the 201 and the 1591. Even so, from both a mechanical and historical standpoint, it's one of the most important sewing machines Singer ever produced. Produced for 12 years, from 1920 to 1932, the 101 was a bold move. It was Singer's first domestic machine, engineered from the ground up to be electric only. Earlier household machines, like the Singer Model 66 and the 127, were designed for treadle or hand crank use, and later electrified with add-on motors and belts. The 101 couldn't be adapted that way. It was electric or nothing. We talked about this other aspects of the problems of the 101 in our electricity episode. Well, let's just read this next paragraph. We'll make it a little more sense. In the 1920s, the 101 was a high-performance, top-of-the-line machine. It retailed for between $140 and $170, which works out to roughly $2,000 to $3,500 today.
Whoa.
Now, here is the problem. Because many homes still lacked electricity, and the price point was so high, the 101 never reached the production numbers of its contemporaries. Only about 230,000 were made during its 12-year run, which is why you rarely see them in the wild as often as other vintage Singers. The Singer 101 used a distinctive rotary dial on the bed plate. It does not have a reverse. It was produced in both cast iron and cast aluminum versions. The cast iron machines were usually sold in cabinets. Cast aluminum 101-12 model were often sold in portable bentwood cases. Now, come on, portable.
Portable like my house is a mobile home.
The 101 is a big machine, even if it's made out of aluminum. The 101 was the first household Singer to use a fully gear-driven enclosed potted motor design. This did away with the external belts found on most machines at the time. And it was also Singer's first real attempt to fully integrate an electric drive system into a domestic sewing machine instead of adapting a treadle design with a bolt-on motor. The term potted motor comes from the round pot-shaped housing that extends from the back of the machine, enclosing and protecting the motor. This setup provided smooth, consistent power and kept dust and lint out. It also reduced noise compared to open belt-driven systems. The motor itself is gear-driven, runs at a relatively low speed, but delivers strong torque to match the machine's internal gearing. What makes it especially interesting is that the 101's motor is unique to this model. Singer was still working out the design, so this was not yet a standardized platform. Because of that, the 101 motor is not interchangeable with later potted motors, like for the 201 and 1591. So, if you've got a 101 with a dead motor, it can't be run in a treadle stand or as a hand crank.
Right.
So 101 motors are kind of like, especially since there was less than 250,000 of the darn things made.
Yeah.
So, but the important thing to what we're talking about today, the 101 marked the introduction of a horizontal full rotary hook to Singer's domestic line. It's a feature often associated with later machines like the more famous Singer 201, but it originated here. The 101 kept the Class 66 bobbin from the earlier Singer Model 66, remember, the oscillator, but everything else about the hook system was a major step forward. Combined with its direct drive design, the 101 is capable of producing a very precise stitch at speeds over 900 stitches per minute. Well, that can go faster than that. With a really tuned up motor, you can get 11 or 1200. And it's the quietest sewing machine ever. So, what's important about that? Okay, here's Singer's own rotary. We designed this thing. Now, they kept the Class 66 side top drop in, right? So they're still building on, hey, this was a good idea, the top drop-in bobbin. People are liking that. You know, our polls indicate that top drop-in is a big seller, RJ. Well, let's...
Right, yeah, I mean, for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Let's make sure that the new thing that they're working on has that. Because, A, it's Singer proprietary right now. And it's taken, the salesmen have a new thing to tout. Look at this, Mrs. Customer. Well, if you're going to introduce this electric one, keep the same needles and bobbins. Keep the same foot attachment system, right? We can still use the same feet. Don't change too much. Not because your customer can't afford it, but because change, as we see later with the Singer Swingers, there was too much change for people to want to go. Yeah.
Right. Too much change at once is scary. It feels like a learning curve, even if it's not. Like, no.
But, the 101, as we talked about in the electric episode just a little bit, was that it was over-engineered for its time because people didn't have electricity outside of the cities. Now, the cities are where these machines were getting sold, like from the Singer showroom in New York. Nice, fancy machines. These are not ones getting shipped out to Omaha and Duluth and Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. These are, those farms don't have electricity yet. We have to wait until the 1930s and 40s and even 50s. And by then, the 101 has been superseded by
the 201.
The finest sewing machine Singer ever made. You'll read that phrase everywhere because it's one of those myth-making things like oscillators are, it's like the Singer is the finest sewing machine. The 201 is the finest sewing machine Singer ever made. Why do people say that? Okay, I just want to stick one more thing in about the 101 here. And this is from Jim Steele Sewing. He knows what he's talking about. He's talking about the 101. It was introduced in 1920. They still weren't sure how an electric motor was going to wear on a sewing machine. So it's crazy, overbuilt, and very durable. So this is a motor that if you take care of it, good stuff. The 101 costs 3 to 4 times any other domestic machine Singer had for sale. It's very quick and can sew up to 1,300 stitches per minute.
Wow.
Now, Jim is a guy who has actually done sewing machine racing. He knows what he's talking about.
Sewing machine racing. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. It's a thing. No one built a household sewing machine that went that fast. Well, of course not. It's the integrated motor thing, right? The last 101s were made in 1932. Sorry, guys, but the 101 is way faster than the 201. I forgot to mention I collect and restore sewing machines. I own a half a dozen 101s. It's my favorite Singer. Me and Jim have talked about 101s before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
201. Okay, so that was great. But what did the 101 not have that was becoming a must-have feature?
Reverse?
Yes. That's the new thing for salesmen to tout. Back tack. Reverse.
The hot new maneuver is going backwards.
You know why Singer has that? Usually it's that long tongue thing sticking out of the pillar and you pulling up is backwards and down is forward. That makes mending so easy.
Sure, yeah,
Right?
totally.
Back and forth and back and forth. I mean, that's how I got a thin spot. To do that with a treadle that only goes forward or something. So reverse is a pretty cool feature. People will say, well, you can just, hold the fabric and stitch in place or dial it down. Well, yeah, but you can't go back and forth across a worn. Okay. So reverse. What else was a problem with the 101?
There was the wick system.
Yes, the problems with the 101 included their much vaunted new wick system.
Should not have been vaunted so much. It was not so great, actually.
No, because when you tipped the thing down in the cabinet, all the oil that you cleverly put into this pan to wick to all the bearings, now it's all dripping out. Hopefully you've still got the little wooden catch thing under there for all that oil.
Right.
Another, what I find really heinous feature of the 101 is the way they integrated the electric light. Because this is a new thing too.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's on the front of the.
No,
thing?
that's the 201.
No, okay.
The 10, see, that was the smart thing. That's where it evolved to. Was that whole molded in right on the front, really nice thing. On the 101, the precursor machine, it's this weird, goofy plumbing fixture that sticks out the back with this stamped tin shade that gets damagingly hot.
Oh, I've seen these. I've handled ones that are equally dumb. Maybe not on 101s, but yes, I'm familiar with this design.
That one. It's just one little sheet of tin for the shade. Now, later on their exterior lights, they would have that tin part, but then they would have that whole vented bakelite piece over the top. So you could touch it and it was warm.
Right, and then it's cool to the touch. Yeah.
There were a lot of warnings on the 101 about being careful when you folded it down in after sewing.
Don't set your house on fire with our light bulb that we couldn't freaking insulate.
Well, and how do you put the machine away without burning your right forearm?
Seriously. It's a terrible design.
But on the other hand, it's a really handy little micro pressing surface.
That doesn't seem worth it.
So it's a really quirky light. If you put an LED in it, okay, then it's okay. But putting a regular incandescent in there, we're talking instant second-degree burns if that thing's been on for a while. We'll get a blister.
Yeah, I feel like I remember when I cleaned some machines for Mike, I'd turn the light on as part of, the process of, I wouldn't clean them while they were plugged in, but part of finishing it up would be, and I'd, take pictures of them for him. Also, once I'd finish polishing them, I would do a whole photo shoot. And, I do remember some of the lights that, if I'd have them on for a while, obviously not for a project's worth of time, but long enough to be like, oh, that's a thing I need to look out for. That's way warmer than seems advised or correct.
Yeah, like what if you managed to get that folded down in the cabinet and then just stuffed your project in on top of it, right? Oops, that might not be good.
No.
So, and when you were working on them for mine, there wasn't LEDs yet. So yeah, you were getting hot ones.
Yeah, for sure. Those were I was not installing LED lights as part of my process.
The 201 sort of maybe got a little more right with this. Okay, so the 201, you don't have to open the top of the bed to get to everything. You flip it back underneath. So that was another thing about the 101. You didn't turn it over. You worked on everything from the top by taking the top bed plate off. Kind of cool. But Didn't work out. 201, okay, now we have everything underneath. We have gearboxes. We still have our awesome drop-in bobbin that's to the left of the needle. The motor is a potted motor, but now it's a different shape. It's been re-engineered. And the model 1591 uses the same motor core. There's just a different bobbin winder attached to the shroud of it. But they both use gear lube, and they're all enclosed, yada, yada, yada. The 201 has its light molded into the front of the arm, which it's better, but there still isn't a heat shield over it. And if you lean forward too far, you can singe your hair and burn your forehead. So again, use an LED light.
Yeah.
When they moved, the 1591 has its external light on the back of the machine. And it's the really sensible, big brown kind with the whole heat shroud and the cool glass lens that hangs down and focuses the light. I like that much. The 201, I wasn't impressed with the light, although it does have a groovy white switch to turn the light on and off, but it does not turn the motor on and off. Now, also with the 201, we have another new feature. We have a rotary. It's designed to be electric, and you can drop the feed.
Ooh.
This is a new thing. Now, this makes mending and free motion quilting
so much easier. Possible.
Yes.
I mean, no, there were the cover plates and stuff. Well, not like it was totally impossible before, but this makes it easy.
Easier. You still have to tip the machine back and undo a screw and flip a lever. But still, if you're in a cabinet machine, that's not really hard. So that's another new feature. Okay, we're rotary. What's the next rotary? The featherweight. The featherweight was a contemporary little sister of the 201. People get this wrong about the featherweight. Oh, it's a little sister of the feather. No, it's not. Maybe in the fact that they use the same bobbin case. Okay, so the featherweight, which came out at the same time as 201, it's a tiny little machine. It has its own bobbin case, which goes in the bottom. It loads from the side, but it's underneath. And it is a rotary. And it's smooth and it's fast, but it's tiny. It's not high-powered. Its whole appeal is that it's portable and lightweight. The 301 was an outgrowth. The 301 is actually the daughter of the featherweight because they kept that hook design, but they integrated the motor inside now. The 301 has an inside motor where the featherweight had a belted motor. Okay, so we're like hybridizing all these cool features. And the 301 is aluminum, which is, they had experimented with that with the 101 and even the 201 a little bit, I've heard. The featherweight was aluminum, period. The 301, aluminum. So now we're getting away from cast iron machines altogether as our design thing moves up.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Cast iron is heavy.
Yeah. Okay, and the last stop I want to do on Singer rotaries is, well, there was the swingers in there, but I want to skip those for right now because they're based on a FAF, a previous design. I want to go to the Slantomatics, the 400 and 500 series. Now we've got an internal motor, of course, reverse. Now we have turned the bobbin. Oh, we don't load it from the side. We load it from the front. It's a drop-in front-loading bobbin. The light is up underneath the arm where you just can't possibly burn yourself on it, and it's got a neat focusing feature. Wow. And the new biggest, bestest thing in sewing machines. Oh, we still have a drop feed. Yeah, we got that. We have zigzag. Yeah. So now we've got a top drop-in, full rotary, zigzag. We've got the slant needle gimmick, and we've got a direct drive motor.
With reverse and a drop feed.
Yeah. So there is the progression of Singer rotaries up through the golden age of sewing machines, which is about 1960. Because then we get into touch and sews and all that, and I'm just not even going there. But that was the journey from stealing stealing Wheeler and Wilson's, well, not stealing it, but taking theirs and then going,
Acquiring.
Yeah. So, Rotaries. Now, where are we at on this thing? We're already at an hour, so I'm just going to tease the next part of this and see if you can wrap your brain around the fact that, okay, we talked about long shuttles. They have the long bobbin and the bullet-shaped shuttle. We talked about round bobbin machines, both the side loading and the top drop-in, and one's underneath. And we talked about rotaries. And is there any way that a long shuttle can also be a rotary? Thread up your brain and think on that one until next time here on Used to Sew, where we will talk about I'm not even going to tell you. It's just so fun. Okay, see ya. Bye.
And there you have it, another deep dive into the nuances of Singer sewing machines. We saw how the transverse shuttle became the Round 15 series, how Singer used their purchase of Wheeler and Wilson to get their hands on the hot new rotary mechanism, and watched the slow addition of reverse, drop feed, zigzag, and, of course, electricity that all came together in the Slant-O-Matics. This episode really took advantage of previous deep dives to handwave a lot of details so that we could follow a new angle through the sewing machine golden age. I really enjoy retreading old ground with new levels of context, and I hope you did too. Understanding how each change adds up to a new whole and how to use that information to critically think through common myths and tropes is a fun mental exercise. Next week, we're talking about how on earth a long shuttle can be a rotary. I have a few ideas, but I bet I'm mostly wrong. TR was very excited to tell me about it this week, but we just didn't have the time. So stay threaded for this same energy next week. As a reminder, we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. You can reach them at srvsew@gmail.com. Follow us on social media and YouTube, and you can best support us by sharing the podcast with your friends. You can even get ad-free episodes by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/usedtosew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at usedtosew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.